did hear that it snowed in some places this week, but in Texas it is below 80 degrees, which actually means that my cat thinks it's basically winter, and if it's 70 degrees in the apartment here, she gets so cold. She puts her feet underneath her and her tail underneath her, and every time I sit down, I suddenly have a lap cat, which is super cute, and she gets so cuddly. So to celebrate the fall weather, I am going to St. Louis soon, which I've got my little St. Louis mug. I was falling asleep earlier, so I am drinking an awake English breakfast tea. It's about 5 p.m. I worked maybe 6 hours today. I slept in a little bit, probably almost till 7, because getting it's dark later in the morning, and I didn't mean to sleep in that much, so I slept in a little bit. I worked 6 hours, and then I went to get my hairs cut, and because I went to a barber shop, which is the thing to do in Austin, which is really weird, you guys. I don't know that people consider it a thing to do in Austin, but there are barber shops on every block, and the barber shops, some of them are boutiques. They sell clothes, and they also cut your hair. Some of them, once I went to a barber shop that after it shut down, it became a stand-up comedy set, and they had Austin comics come and do performances, and it was kind of awesome because everybody made jokes about it being in a barber shop. And then, yeah, it's just like a thing to do. It's kind of neat the way they have like little video games. There's Pac-Man. Actually, I think it was some sort of airplane game from the 90s that you could play. They've got vinyl records you can look through. They've, of course, got the magazines and all the normal stuff. But they also give you beer, so I had a beer and then got very sleepy, so now I'm having a tea so that I can be productive this evening. It's been a very busy week. On Tuesday, I released my blog post, which you guys know I've been talking about for a while and thinking about for months on end. So much that I think anybody who's talked to me in the last couple months has talked to me about my blog post, because that's all I'll talk about is millennials and engineering, and how to keep millennials, and how to attract millennials and new people to engineering. So it's become a little passion of mine in the past few weeks, talking about it and researching about it. So that went live on Tuesday, and thanks to Pranay and Sydney who helped me edit it. And it's very long, so maybe read it in a couple different sections. Most people have been telling me they haven't actually read it all the way through, except for Chrissy, who's my girl boss, and she read the whole thing, and she told me she liked it, and we were talking about retention and millennials, and I was telling her, oh, for the next article where I'm going to talk about steps on how we retain millennials and attract millennials, I wanted to have very specific steps to do, and I want to have steps. I've got a lot in my head that I think is a little out of the ordinary and not what anybody in engineering would expect. So I'm going to have to be very delicate about how I present it, because obviously there's things that are done the way they're done in engineering because it makes sense and because it works that way, and because people are used to it, and engineers tend to be risk adverse. For a profession where we literally sit down and calculate risks and build matrices and put costs to the risks and figure out the best way to do things, us in our personal lives are very risk adverse, which I can always tell when I'm talking about finances, especially this week because the stock market dips so much and everybody's talking about what they're buying. They're so risk adverse. So yeah, I'm going to have this blog post come out, and I'm going to say, hey, here are the things that we need to do, or engineering is going to be, this civil engineering as we know it is going to be obsolete because we won't be able to get people into this profession and be able to keep them. But I also don't want to put off or alienate the people that the system as it is works really well for them. But you have to disrupt the system if you want some type of change to come, right? So yeah, I'm working on that post. It'll come out in November. I'm giving myself a couple weeks so that I can fine tune it and get it perfect. So I've been working on that a lot, been thinking about it, breathing about it, everything I do. I'm just like, hey, have you heard about my post yet? Have you heard about my post yet? So I'm happy that it's like out on the street and that people are now giving me feedback. So that went live on Tuesday. On Wednesday, it was Imagine a Day Without Water Day, which is it's a campaign that's started by American Waterworks Association, AWWA, which has a lot of different chapter events and societies in different cities, and it's meant to bring awareness to the state of our infrastructure. And I guess they've got all these materials for how much of an economic burden it would be if we didn't have water for a single day. So I was Instagramming about it, and I think one of the things I had said was, this apple I just ate for breakfast was 39 gallons of water in order to make it. Each cup of water, apple was 17 gallons. A cup of coffee took 39 gallons to make each cup, and I drink a lot of cups of coffee, as noted by my tea, which I am drinking at 5 p.m. that is highly caffeinated, so I can stay awake. So yeah, there's a lot of water that goes into a lot of things that you wouldn't even realize, because everything that we use and everything that we interact with in our day-to-day life is industrialized, it's manufactured, we live in a highly built world. So I was listening to a presentation, which I think I told you guys about on my last Friday little chat with me, that it takes 2,000 liters of water to make a single cotton shirt, which is a lot of freaking water. That's a lot of water that goes into the growing of the cotton, into the manufacturing of the pesticides, into the dyes and the manufacturing process, into shipping it over to wherever they're going to build the shirt, and then shipping it back. And it's a lot of water. 2,000 liters of water per single cotton t-shirt. So there's a lot of water we use that I just, I can't even imagine a day without water. But the point of the campaign is to show people, hey, you probably can't imagine a day without water. Think of how much water you used within the first 20 minutes of waking up. So we need to fund our infrastructure. And I think there's a bill, I don't know if it's been signed, but there was a bill on the president's desk about water infrastructure, and I heard he was going to sign it. I didn't actually check back in to see if he signed it, but that was also happening this week, which I don't know if it was supposed to coincide with a day without water, but it did, which I thought was fun. So that was Wednesday. Wednesday was also World Mental Health Day, which my company was talking about and sending us messages about. I saw all over Instagram, and I even posted something. Hold on, I'm going to take off my jacket. It's a little hot. I even posted something because you guys know that I'm a big advocate of World Mental Health Day and about people taking care of themselves and checking in with yourself and realizing when you need help. It's a big deal for me, and I like to see that people are talking about it more and it's less taboo, which I think has probably just come to my generation, where we go out to the bar and everyone's like, oh hey, I was talking to my therapist told me this. It's very common for people my age, and maybe it's that I live in a very young city where everybody's kind of my demographic, but yeah, I've had moments in my past, which I don't know if I've been totally transparent about, but everybody has issues where they need to sit back and relax and, take a me day, take a self-care day. So I was happy to see that a traditional engineering company was posting about it. And then I was very happy that the next day was International Day of the Girl. International Day of the Girl. And my company posted an article about imposter syndrome, and they had a little article on me, and they had a little article on Fit Girl Chris, and a little article on Jennifer Edmondson. That's on jacobs.com. It was also on our internal virtual office called Jacobs Connect, and it was sent out in the global communications to everybody yesterday. So I thought that was really neat that my company was not only talking about World Mental Health Day, they're talking about imposter syndrome and things that people experience every day in their lifetime as an engineer. And I am wholeheartedly supportive of that, and I was so happy to see that, and so happy to see the reaction from my fellow coworkers about it. So that happened. Let's see, I posted my article. I had the article on International Day of the Girl about me, which I also promoted on my Instagram. And then I got home. Can you guys hear the train going by? It's kind of loud. I'll be sitting in conference calls, like running them, and everyone can just hear the train going by. Anyway, I got home and I had a lovely little letter from Lori, who is the editor-in-chief at Civil Engineering Magazine, and she sent me 2 copies of this. So I don't know who I'm going to give the second one to. Maybe my parents, so that's coming your way, Mom and Dad. It's the ASCE magazine that you get if you're a member of ASCE, which a lot of us civil engineers are, because there's great benefits, and we can go in and take little online courses to satisfy our requirements every year that we need for our professional development hours. And there's also seminars and things. It's relevant, and so a lot of people are members, and they get civil engineering. And on page 19, I think it's 19, that's what she said in her letter, is a little article about me. There's me. Look at that. It says, make space for women engineers and leaders. And I had emailed her and said, hey, I think I'd be a great fit for your next step. I just got a promotion. And I think Lori was tickled by the fact that what I was advocating doing, like speaking up and telling people you'll be good for roles, was exactly what I had done in order to get into contact with her. And I probably talked to her for an hour and a half, which was much longer than either of us expected or had in our calendars. And at one point I had told her that, I don't really get behind this idea of your career being a ladder, a corporate ladder, and you're just going to climb this corporate ladder to these very coveted positions. I would much rather think of my career as a scaffolding, and so I can go up and I can go over and I can go down, and I can transition laterally into sales or transition into marketing, or something using my technical background, my technical credibility, which is really big for me right now, growing my technical background since I'm so young in my career. And so I was telling her, hey, you can't move anywhere in scaffolding if you don't take a step. You just gotta step. And it actually is what she wrote on the very last few sentences of the article. Says, and while I want to seek promotions, I'm also okay with a lateral shift, walking across the scaffolding and not just up the ladder. Either way, you can't go forward without taking a step. I was like, that's a nice little ending to my article. So yeah, if you get civil engineering, check it out, page 19. And so yeah, it's been a really big week for promotion, or promotional materials and branding, which is a really big thing right now, is the personal brand and branding yourself. So that, I guess that's exactly what I'm doing. Next week is Diversity and Inclusion Week at my company, so a lot of people are, they've got a lot on their plates. I've got a short week next week because I am traveling a little bit more, and I was asked to join the leadership weekend for Environmental Water Resources Institute, which is, so ASCE is split up into different institutes. We've got transportation, structural, EWRI is the environmental and water one, and so I was asked to join their leadership weekend. And so next Friday, if I post, it'll be from I'll probably take it in the airport or in an airplane. No, it won't be fun to do in an airplane. Like all these people around me in the economy seating. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm going to post next weekend. We will see. But I am very prepared for it. I just ordered a bunch of Soylent so that I have my meals taken care of. And I ordered new shoes. They're like tech shoes, so they kind of, here, I can show you. They like hold up and they travel really well. So we'll try them out on my traveling. And they like, you can change out the insoles. So anyway, those are my tech shoes. I always feel like when I buy a new product like this that it's to replace one that I don't need anymore. So I've got a pair of shoes that I need to take to Goodwill. And yeah, that's been my week. I don't know what I've worked on as far as work goes. It's same old stuff I've been working on the last few weeks. A little bit more administrative invoices and figuring out the new Jacob system for cost projections. And a little bit of figuring out how to talk to engineers that don't play well with others. And yeah, and the stock market being crazy. So we got our new benefits, or we got a little glimpse into what our benefits are going to be. So I had gone to a consultation for financial advising to see a fiduciary, which I'll pay her hourly, and she'll look through my investments and tell me how I need to be rebalancing or what I need to be doing as far as taxes or whatever. And now that I have my new benefits, I can go and have her start in on the review of all my accounts and my investments. So that's kind of exciting. But then I realized when people were texting me about stocks and stuff, I was thinking, oh, I must talk about my finances so much that when the stock market dips, I'm like the person people text, which I kind of like that role. But I feel like I need to do a little bit more research to be a little bit more savvy in the stock market, just to align myself with how savvy people think I am. Imposter syndrome, right? It's all coming full circle. So anyway, I'm going to finish my tea so I can wake up a little bit more, do my packing, and get really excited for all the fall leaves and stuff that I'm going to see when I'm in St. Louis. So, St. Louis people, I am coming at you. Anyway, thanks for joining me, guys, and I will see you, if not next week, then the following week. Bye!